Welcome to the another video of Cricket Thrills. Aftab Baloch is a perplexing name for cricket fans. Some are familiar with his recognition as a former Pakistan Test cricketer, however, may have missed him just because he flashed on the international arena for a while, twinkled for split seconds before fading away in the grasp of time. Not that he did not merit absolute regularity amongst the test outfits, but for some other reason he has subjected a harsh criticism before he was thrown to the wilderness. He was a magnificent batsman who had a natural flair, a vast range of strokes, including elegant drives and that hitting of spinning ability. He had to endure prolonged periods of isolations between his two tests. Aftab was a natural ball player with power off and cover drives, a slightly open stance, and the perfect feet movement, which could effectively negotiate the spinners and the fast bowler with equal ease. His fault was not purely cricketing negligence, but he fell on the wrong side of the administrators and was not destined to represent Pakistan on regular basis. At the age of 16, he started to face first-class music and did it in style. Aftab Baloch becomes an instant hit as a schoolboy cricketer who was an elegant batsman, a nagging bowler, and a whirlwind of a fielder in the cover region. Cricket was his natural instinct, as his father M.S. Baloch has been a class act and was a Ranji Trophy regular. He also represented Sindh and Karachi 11. So the ball all-round ability was presumably a genetic predisposition. Aftab Baloch's career was set in a different mold. He made his debut for Public Works Department (PWD) in 1969-70 and had the distinction to fulfill all his obligations, inspiring his captain, the Test ace Saeed Ahmed. PWD played the first-class match against Hyderabad Blues at Karachi National Stadium for the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy, and immediately the debutant was in action. His team was tottering at 290 for 8 and he entered the field at number 9. On the other end was another left-handed all-rounder, Arshad Bashir, and both combined their confidence and cricketing conviction to the extent that the score reached 452 for 8. Aftab Baloch remained unbeaten on 77 and Bashir Ahmed on the undefeated 88 when Saeed Ahmed declared the innings. There was more for Aftab as the tourists were dismissed for 95 and 124 in the two completed innings. His nagging off-spin bowling with a high swinging arm wide of the crease fetched his figures of 6 for 33 and 6 for 46. Indeed, it was an unbelievable debut. Aftab Baloch was amazingly declared as the best prospect around in Pakistan at that particular juncture. 2 more weeks passed and Aftab was turning into an uncrowned heart. At Quetta against Kalat, the off-spinning all-rounder managed to hit an unconquered 100, adding his team to pile a massive 524 for 4 declared. And then he claimed 4 for 26 as PWD won by innings and 296 runs. At the same venue against Quetta, PWD reached an astonishing 714 and Aftab's share was a belligerent 104. His team ran through the game with an innings and 320 runs. In the quarterfinal against the Railway, PWD won the game on a first inning lead, but Aftab Baloch failed to produce his magical form. Now it was time for Aftab to travel to Lahore to play the semi-final, and it was staged at the Picture Cube Baghe Jannah, where the wicket was predictable and relatively docile. The opposition was Sargodha and Aftab dominated the scene with a captivating 120 runs and then sport it with a well-executed 51 not out in the second innings. And when his turn came to roll the arm over, he produced a spell to claim 3 for 31. PWT achieved 193 runs and went on to play the final. Thought PIA won the title that year, but Aftab had established himself on the national scene. In the same year, the England schoolboy 11 toured Pakistan. Here Aftab was there to represent the under-19 11. It was his first exposure to international cricket and the Pakistan Blazer. Excited and full of the promise, he was destined for the loftier heights. New Zealand came to Pakistan for a three-test series, and the inaugural test match was played at Rawalpindi against President 11. Aftab Baloch was brought in, and he replied with a stylish 37 beside bowling on the line and was seen diving while he saved certain hits to the fence. Aftab was promptly named on the team for the third test at Dhaka. He was becoming the youngest test cricketer at the age of 16 years and 221 days after Mushtaq Mohammad. Aftab Baloch made a decent 25 runs and fielded above the acceptation but was not considered for future Pakistan assignments. However, being sent in the wilderness in 1969-70 season, he was playing in the Ayub Trophy and where he hit 59 and 75 in the PWD's two games before the teams made an exit in the round robin tournament. In 9 games during his debut season, he amassed 686 runs at the healthy average of 76.22 and he claimed 28 wickets at just 18.57 besides managing to hold on to 10 catches. It was the simply outstanding performance of the Aftab Baloch. And now the talented all-rounder was being politicized and inevitably it seemed Aftab Baloch accepted an offer to play for Pakistan International Airlines during the 1970-71 season. He joined the seniors outfit to play in the BCCP trophy. PIA that year was already overflowing with the celebrated test cricketers and few opportunities were nudged towards him. To his horror, Aftab was excluded from the semi-final team and was thrown in unwanted isolation. Just Aftab Baloch launched himself for the PIA outfit. He appeared once more in the Pakistan 11 against Stewart's Commonwealth team, being dismissed for 6 and 0. He was not included in the PI team for the BCCP trophy final. This performance forced the selectors to neglect him for the 1971 England tour, and harder times were waiting for him due to behind the lines intrigues. In the 1971-72 winters brought no better hopes, and the sordid tale of his exclusions from the mainstream continued. Frustrated, Aftab Baloch decided to respond to the PI administration and appeared for Karachi in the BCCP trophy. Though Karachi Blues made it to the finals and Aftab played all the matches, but this time around his own form deceived his cricketing trust and rolled on the line for mediocrity. The selectors were not changing their stance and justifiers in their intents. They ignored Aftab for the scheduled tour to Sri Lanka. Then they did not consider him for the twin tour of Australia and New Zealand in 1971-72. Aftab Baloch was in shambles and required recollecting himself, and he began the campaign, inspiring himself and living for another hour and another day. He was named to captain the Karachi Blues team for the Patron Trophy. The selectors were not changing their stance and were justified in their intents. They ignored Aftab for the scheduled tour to Sri Lanka and then did not consider him for the twin tour to Australia and New Zealand in 1972-73. He was named to captain the Karachi Blues team for the Patron Trophy. He started the tournament by hitting a pleasant 96 in his first innings of the winter and then reclaimed his bowling powers by dismissing 5 batsmen for 70 runs in the tournament final against the Railway to lead from the front. At the age of 19, he had led Karachi Blues to their first major title, and this showed his confidence, imperative, and certainty an asset for the future. But it was not to be. During the Qaid-e-Azam Trophy, he appeared for Sindh, and though Railways won the national championship, Aftab bowled magnificently to collect 8 for 171 in the marathon spell of 62.4 hours. Back from Australia and New Zealand, Majid Khan and Mushtaq Mohammad announced their unavailability on personal reason for the 1973-74 season, and this ended Aftab's exile. A World 11 was invited to play a game for Prime Minister Flood Relief Fund. For the two matches, he notched up 119 runs and out of 4 innings, he remained unbeaten thrice through, though as a bowler he could not impress the pursuit. Immediately after participating in the international matches at home, he found himself traveling to Sri Lanka with the Pakistan under-25. At Colombo, he went in at number 4 and played an inning of a lifetime. He hit an accomplished 167 not out in the first innings and then saw his captain Wasim Raja claiming 14 wickets to seal the fate of the match. Then Aftab was named on the Pakistan team for both the international at home against Sri Lanka in the same season, hitting 31 and 94 at Lahore, while captaining Sindh in the 1973-74 season against Balochistan in the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy. He hit 25 fours on his way to a memorable 428, coming in 9 hours and 44 minutes. It was the second 400 or more score in the history of Pakistan first-class cricket. But as the seasons terminated, he had the ignominy of registering a pair against PIA while representing the National Bank of Pakistan. Overall, Aftab Baloch gathered 1,205 runs at 52.39 in the season and was the second to Zahir Abbas, who had an aggregate of 1,597 runs. But with the ball, he was quite expensive with 19 wickets collected at 44.96 apiece. His performance softened the selectors' attitude as Aftab Baloch was named on the Pakistan team to tour England in 1974. Astonishingly, Aftab was considered as a reserve wicketkeeper to Wasim Bari. The 1974 tour was a wet tour and Aftab remained on the sidelines, having had mediocre performance with the bat. He was Pakistan's 12th man in the all three test matches and returned home desperate to run into this action. During 1974-75 season, Aftab was once again at his best and crossed the 1,000 runs distinction in that season too, thus becoming the first ever Pakistani player to achieve the feat twice in 2 years, and the Balochistan team was again on the receiving end as he hit them with bemused disdain, gathering an unconquered 200 runs. Earlier in the season, he had led the National Bank against Railway to Patron Trophy title at Lahore. He did excellent batting and in doing so scored a magnificent 100, and now he was bowling better than ever before, claiming 28 wickets at 10 apiece. Then in 1974-75, Aftab Baloch led National Bank to win the ASP Zada tournament. Finally, he won his test place against the West Indies at Lahore. Aftab hit the fast bowler with timing and courage to manipulate 60 not-out runs. However, surprisingly, he was dropped for the Karachi Test, thus bringing to end of his career. It was alleged that he was scared of the hostile bowlers and lacked the temperament to face the West Indian. He was condemned without anybody offering evidence against the charges. He was written off a test batsman. However, more than politics was sensed in Aftab's unceremonious exit from the Pakistan side. In 1974-75, Aftab made 1,108 runs at 65.17 and took 40 wickets at 21.67. In 1974-75, Aftab Baloch made 1,108 runs at 65.17 and took 40 wickets at 21.67. This splendid all-round performance was not considered for the World Cup 1975. His run-making habits, however, did not deserve him as playing for the in the Lancashire League he managed 1254 runs at 66.0. He was standing by when Pakistan made a short tour to Sri Lanka in 1975-76, but he earned more honor for the National Bank, winning the Patron Trophy again beside their first ever national title by getting them the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy. The BCCP League was lost to PIA by a margin of 4 points. National Bank captaincy went to Wasim Raja later the same season, not because Aftab was stripped of the title, but because under the department rule, the captaincy had to change hands in the rotation. An unusual phenomena, surprisingly, Aftab Baloch joined PIA again during the 76-77 season and captained them in Wasim Bari's absence. In the end, his promise as an all-rounder faded out and his career remained a tale of sheer injustice. Aftab Baloch is probably best remembered for the 428 runs he made as captain of Sindh against Balochistan in Karachi during the 1973-74 Quaid-e-Azam Trophy. He added 174 for the fifth wicket in that game, with the young Javed Miandad playing only his eighth first-class game. It remains the only 400-plus score made by a Pakistani in first-class cricket other than Hanif Mohammed's legendary 499, made made 15 years before that. Between the 1972-73 season and the 1977-78 season, Baloch was at his peak. He scored 5,025 runs in Pakistan first-class cricket, averaging nearly 55 with 14 hundreds. At the same time, Pakistan had a batting order built around Sadiq Mohammad, Majid Khan, Zaheer Abbas, Asif Iqbal, and Mushtaq Mohammad, and then eventually Miandad himself. It was among the strongest batting lineups Pakistan has ever had in Test. He died at the age of 68. If you like this video, please comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.